So the next part of our lesson, and I did this with a couple students the other day, the next part was to create these triangles with the squares, and turn them to see if they make a triangle at all, if they make a 90-degree triangle, a acute triangle, or a obtuse triangle. So this table right here is going to give you some feedback on that. So if we look at the right triangles, notice that if the smaller two sides, the squares on them, if their areas equal each other, it's going to create a right triangle. If their areas are greater, the two smaller ones are greater than the larger one, it's going to be an acute triangle. And any other combination that made a triangle where the sum of the smaller angles were less than the large area, it made an obtuse triangle. So that was important for us to be able to figure out. So then it came and said, okay, make these observations. What do you notice about the three side lengths compared to each other that did not form a triangle? So I'm not going to type these part in, but the important part down here is the conjecture. So it says when complete the two statements. So this first one, I'm just going to type in. So three side lengths will not make a triangle if the sum of the two short sides is less than the long side. So for example, it goes right in here. So if I had the sides 2, 3, and 8, those do not make a triangle. Because in order to make a triangle, 2 plus 3 has to be greater than 8, and that is not true. So the two small sides, the two short sides, has to be greater than the longest side when you add them together. So the three sides will make a triangle, and it's just basically the opposite of this. So I'm just going to copy this. The sum of the two short sides is greater than the long side. So for example, if I had the triangle, say I had an equilateral triangle, so 6 plus 6 is greater than 6. That's true because 12 is greater than 6. So if the two short sides add together, and this is actually called the triangle inequality theorem. All right. So the next part had us looking at what happened when it made the acute, obtuse, or right triangles. So what patterns we see between the sums of the areas of the two smaller squares and the larger square. So if the three squares have side lengths that make an acute triangle, then the sum of the two squares is greater than the large square's area. So if it's an acute, and I kind of tried like to remember this, it's acute if it's greater than, so it's the opposite. Acute means less than 90 degrees. So this is the opposite of that. So it's got to be greater than, okay? If they make an obtuse triangle, again, I'm just going to clone that, it's the opposite. The two small squares is less than the large square's area. And then if they make a right triangle, and this is actually the most important part of what you're going to do in the next lesson, they're equal. So as long as they form a triangle, because that's the first thing we have to check to make sure that the side lengths are going to make a triangle, as long as it's greater than, it's acute. It's less than the largest square, it's going to be obtuse. And if it's equal to, it's going to be right.